Hello everyone and welcome back to that LEGO channel, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys my custom weapon for Nia from LEGO Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu Season 13 Master of the Mountain. Man, such a mouthful. But first off, before we get into this custom, which I'm actually really proud of, I'd like to say huge shout out to the people watching the videos. I know this is weird, but I've had experiences with YouTube before. I have a channel with almost 300 subs right now, and I average 100 views a video, which I am very grateful for at such as being such like a low YouTuber in terms of popularity. So I just want to say thank you because canonically all the videos on all the videos on this channel have gotten at least 20 views, which might not seem like a lot, but for a channel with only 7 subs is actually really good. So if you guys could subscribe, I hate to say this, that'd be really nice. But without further ado, let's get into it. And sorry for the background, it's a mess. I haven't had time to clean my room, but here we go. Starting with her spear. Now, Nia herself doesn't have any customizations, really at all. I just put a hairpiece on her, so this has actually had one of the most complicated processes I've ever had. And aside from like Thor's hammer right here, this is easily my most detailed and complicated LEGO accessories ever. Now we're gonna start off with the top. Now the spear piece is actually trimmed down a fair amount. If you look at it compared to another one, I cut a lot of the bottom off, and if we look at it from top perspective, I actually sharpened the top to make it look more like a spear and a lot less blunt. And I also trim this bit down, let's move it out the way, to accommodate for the size of the spear piece itself. Because in the show, it's really flat, and the spear just kind of goes right in there, and there's not that much room for all the extra space, and there's not a space in between this part and the spear itself. So, you know, my goal here was to make it more show accurate, which I definitely did. Now, next up, actually, I think I'll remove this piece again. If we compare this to a normal LEGO lightsaber hilt, you can see again I trimmed it down. Honestly, not that much, but I did trim it down to accommodate for sizes, and I painted the rim gold. And then if you look on it, this is the piece I made this part out of. You can see I actually painted this whole section brown in between these two lines, and right there after that second line. And then the rest is all gunmetal, because like in the show, that's what it looks like. I know you can't really see on camera because I have really bad camera quality, but it is like a gunmetalish gray or silver, because in the show that's what it looks like. And then again, talking about sizes, if we could line them up, I did trim the piece down a little bit, and then painted the rim gold. Only the rim. Again, this is the best I can make it compared to the show without a full overhaul and customization, because I really want to keep that whole LEGO feel. Then, moving down to this part, so all these pieces came with the set. I think this piece came with the set. I'm not actually sure. I'm looking at it, and I don't remember there being a... Let me think. Yeah, actually, I think it did. Okay, whatever. We're not going to go into it. But pretty much, I only trimmed it down a little bit at the bottom. It's hard to tell, but what I actually had to do with this is I took my Dremel, and you see up to about this point right here, I sanded it down really, really thin, because there's a pretty big problem that I encountered, and I am actually still encountering, as you can see by paint scraping. If I was going to make this more detailed, I was either just going to paint it blue, or I was going to use paper to wrap it up and make it look like actual ropes, or like a grip on the spear itself. So you see, it goes in the hand actually really well, and mostly gets covered up by her hand, like the parts that are scraped off, which I'm very happy about. I didn't expect this much paint to still be on there. I mean, it stinks she can only hold it in one place, but if I wanted to, I could make it go onto this part, not this part, and I'll explain why. So I did cut up paper really thin. Like, I know it doesn't seem that thin on camera. Oh, I have a cut on my thumb right here. putting up Christmas tree a couple days ago. Um, uh, sorry. I had to cut it extremely thin. It doesn't look that thin on camera, but remember, these pieces are extremely small. I have a little bit above average sized hand for a 13-year-old male, and I mean, if you can do here, like this is my finger compared to it. Like I don't know, take some size references and see how thin those little strips of paper are that I had to glue on there. Now, I did mess up the glue, and it was really chunky, like really around this part right here. It was all extended. It was coming up, and I didn't like it. So I thought, hey, maybe I should pour some water on it, squeeze it, and it might all join together to make it look a lot smaller. I was wrong. The pieces of paper kind of came together almost as one, and you couldn't really see all the detail I had tried to make appear. So I sanded over all this glue and wet paper, and then I had to restart. And then pretty much all the paper was again way too thick to fit into Nia's hand. So I had to do that a second time, and it's just really complicated. And then if you look here, I don't know if the camera will focus actually. Here, is this? Oh, perfect. So around where the lightsaber hilt connects to the rope area, that's actually glue because it was too thin to fit in there, which I was afraid of having to glue it on there. So because it avoids further modifications, and I kind of did mess up the bottom piece. It's not. Oh, it's not focusing again. Okay, fine. It's whatever. Because the bottom little design doesn't line up with one of the lines on the top of the spear, which is indeed a problem, but it's not too big of a deal. But pretty much, then I took some more paper, wrapped it around this area. As you can see, it's built up because that's where the end of the sanding was, and I needed to cover that up in some way. And I think it actually does have almost a good effect because naturally, where the rope or grips would end is where there would be more to, kind of just make sure that it doesn't fall apart as you're using it. I know it sounds like I'm coming up with an excuse, but I mean that literally. Um, so I am really glad with how that piece turned out. Honestly, this is probably this is definitely my favorite accessory I've ever made out of Lego, and paint and customization. But we are not done. We still have this bottom bit, which looking at the show, I'm looking at their weapons and I'm like, not writers, designers, thank you so much for cramming all this detail into there because there's literally no one else in this dang community who has done it on the level I'm attempting to do. I'm not saying I'm good. I'm not saying I'm better than them. I'm just saying that no one that I've seen has attempted to do it on my level, which is just a little bit annoying because then it's up to me to do it and make it look half decent. But pretty much what I did is I took a stud, one of the studs with a hole in it. I can't find one around me right now. I am looking. Yeah, no, I can't find a stud with a hole in it right now in my little office area I'm working on, even though I'm on the floor. But just take my word for it, I took a stud with a hole in it, and then pretty much the stud piece itself, which attaches to things, is what's on here. Like, I sanded down the whole line that makes up a stud. Well, actually, I found a stud. It doesn't have a hole in it, but you can understand what I mean. So, pretty much, you see the smallest bit. That is pretty much what makes up this bottom part. Not the outer rim line or this part right here. Only the top part of the stud makes up this whole section. Actually took a lot of sanding, and I'm very surprised I got it as even as I got it. Like, that's really surprisingly even, especially for me. And then what I did is I have some person just gave me all these pieces of like white cardstock. You can see I cut a little bit out of the end. And then pretty much what I did was I kept trimming and trimming and trimming it down until I got this general shape, and I glued it to the bottom and painted it all gold. Because as you can see, if I flip it this way, it was originally a black stud with a hole, not black brown. And I know in the show there are little divots in each of the corners, not the top corner, the two bottom corners here and here. But I'm thinking about this, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, listen, okay, I'm sorry. One, the pictures that I could find were extremely blurry because the episodes aren't officially out in America in HD, so I had to go off of YouTube, and I could not get past like 480p, which is really bad because there weren't any close-up shots of their weapons in full detail. So this was honestly the best I could do. And hopefully in the show there actually aren't extra details that I was just missing because of all the pixelatedness of the weapon. But I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. It took me actually a surprising amount of time. I have made custom figures that took less time than this. Uh, but hey, I'm glad with how it came out. Like, really proud. Like, I mean, I tend to get full of myself with my customs, but I think that this genuinely looks really good. And from what I've seen, is the best one in the community, in my opinion. Like, feel free to prove me wrong. Send me a link in the comments. I'm gonna have to approve the comment for some reason because of YouTube. Uh, but send me a link to like your video or I don't know, somebody who's made a better version than me. I'll gladly accept that mine isn't the best. I'm just saying it's the best one I've seen. And there's a good chance that somebody's made one really like a lot better than this and just haven't made a video on it and on any social media platform or taken any pictures of it. But for the next videos I'm planning on doing, I'm working on Lloyd's from season 13. This is pretty much how far I've gotten. I need to finish the sanding on the little, I guess, where your hand gets stopped so it doesn't touch the blade. And then I did sand down the blade here to make it as accurate to the show as I could without getting rid of it. And I was going to make a divot in the sword, but I just kind of can't. It's really thin, and my Dremel is too not thin to make a defined line, so I'm just going to have to paint a little triangle detail there. And guys, I genuinely need your help with Jay. I cannot for the life of me find a good image of his weapon. And I know you guys are going to say, what's the deal with his weapon? This is what I could see in the show. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take one of these lightsaber hilts and sand off literally all of the details so it's just like a piece. So pretty much it looks like this but smaller, which is a little bit of a problem. I don't want to do that. And then I'm going to have to paint it blue, and it's just going to be a whole complicated process. I've already done the blue on this part, the mace part. So if you guys have any high quality images, or if any of you guys are like from parts of the world where you have gotten episodes in like HD, please send me a high quality image of his weapon because I need to get good pictures of him. And if you're wondering how to send to me, just DM me on Instagram at thatstickbot channel. Yes, that's my Instagram. I'm planning on getting a Lego Instagram pretty soon, which will be that Lego Instagram. And I'm also working on Zane's shurikens, which are actually done. So now that's actually it for this video. Pretty much just keep on building my goose and ham sandwiches. And for that matter, I'll see all of you later. Peace out.